Yo, what's up?
Hi.
Hey, listen here, followers. Okay. This is the Hubb podcast. We don't usually talk like that, but today is a very special episode. And that's because it's a little different than the ones that we did before that.
I think that's just derivative, not special, but...
My mom tells me that I'm special.
Good segue, Jed.
Yeah.
Because we have some new people on my right before we introduce the topics that we'll be talking about. Let's go ahead and introduce this guy.
I'm Jed. I've known all of you for a while now. And
How do you know us?
we all went to the same school, but I don't have a digital footprint like any of y'all.
Okay.
So,
But you have been played shows in San Diego, right? You played at Soda Bar. I think you played at Soma, right?
played at Soma, Space Bar, dive bars. Can't get enough dive bars.
Let go.
Free drink tickets
Yes.
all day.
Soda Bar's the best.
So, like, needless to say, I've made no money. Whatever.
Exactly. And then on Jed's right, we have...
Yeah, I'm Jonathan. I didn't go to the same school as you all, but I really enjoy music and I enjoy studying music. So I went to school for communication studies master's degree, and instead I just wrote a bunch of papers about my favorite albums. And so I wrote, about Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly and Good Kid, Mad City. And then I wrote my thesis about Hamilton and talked about why Hamilton's a ripoff of better rap music. But that's another story for another time.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you for coming and joining us here, Jed and JV, or Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And then in front of me I have...
Will. And thank you so much for submitting to our essay contest. It was the only essay that I got entered, but it was a really good one.
Yeah, I win contests when I'm the only person who enters. That's usually the conditions under which I win.
That's lit though, dude.
That's how I won the Battle of the Bands. I was the only band.
Oh,
They're like, on a resume, no one cares.
that's funny.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Yeah, true.
And over here to my left, we have another
Over
musician.
here we have me. My name is Leonard. You can also call me Lenny though. I'd prefer that actually.
I like Lenny.
Hey, Lenny.
All right, thank you. What's up? What's up? What's up?
I also like Will.
Yeah,
They're
those are
nice. Nice short names.
Don't want to leave anyone out here. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, so just to tee off the conversation here. So we have some new technology entering our reality. Like every day there's different companies creating stuff that has a direct effect on the way we live. Like just cell
We're
phones.
cyborgs.
The devices you're using to watch this right now is
Yeah.
one of those.
Yeah. You get my point. Like we're being able to consume media at a higher resolution at a quicker rate than we ever have been, and more people could do it. So the thing is, how quick can we get the media to our brains? There's a company that Elon Musk helps fund called Neuralink, and it's a compound word, neural and link or
Okay.
ink. I don't know which way you want to look at it.
Neural.
Like from the legend.
Link, yes.
Oh, like Neuralink or Neural Ink?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like writing neurally
For
or
sure.
linking neural. I don't know.
I'm guessing it's Neuralink. I'm just going to put my money on that.
Yeah.
Really?
Unless they're writing stuff in your brain. They're going to start reprogramming your brain. They got to give it a cooler name than Neuralink.
Well,
I don't know, man.
It's like a brain tattoo, dude.
Yeah, it's like a
Straight
brain
up.
tattoo, but it's where it takes over your brain like something out of a James Bond movie or something, where it's like,
Okay.
yeah. No, that's not it.
like an evil octopus just grabs onto you. And then
Yeah.
it can just think your thoughts.
That'd be dope.
Oh, it's like the Manchurian Candidate. Yeah, like Manchurian Candidate overwrites your brain. It's just completely rewires. That's definitely the future, but that's not what we're talking about.
Well, then definitely listen closely to the video we play later, because I'm not saying that they're explicitly telling us they're going to insert thoughts into our brain, but I did just say that.
Dude, yeah, that's crazy. Think about if that's possible, ads and stuff. You could literally just be sitting there, and then they'll be like, "You want Mentos?" And you're like, "Dude, I think I want Mentos." And
Isn't
it's coming from your brain, but you think it is, but it's probably not.
Think of how many people with marketing degrees would just be out of a job.
And, yeah,
or
dude,
they're
true.
the ones doing it.
Yeah.
All right, no.
That's also
Wait,
true.
is that why like every once in a while you get like catchy jingles stuck in your head?
That's
Yes.
exactly why.
That is.
Yes.
That's the big. That's
the
the
same
beta
way how
testing.
there's fluoride in the water, there's little tentacle things in our brains giving us ads. Is that what you're saying, right?
No, I actually looked some of that up today, like neuropsychology and how that relates to music. So the way that we interpret melodies and rhythms and tones and pitch differences are all different spots in our brain. And that's actually like a really, really old adaptations humans have. But so no, like technology and media is probably not why we like have jingles stuck in our head. Jingles get stuck in your head because you recognize melodies that have commonly pitched like notes and tones in them. So,
That makes sense.
yeah, but
We're hardwired to want them.
I do think that they might be able to implant more like brain like before saying too much, like this video will help explain what I'm talking about. Like it seems far-fetched right now, but I have a theory that they might be able to give us thoughts into our heads to control the actions that we take.
Gotcha. And it'd probably be similar into the form of like, not like a whisper of words like "go get this," but more like a feeling,
Yeah.
maybe. Okay. Yes.
I don't know.
I'm gonna break the seal.
be
I'm gonna break the
weird.
seal. It's a vibe. That's
It's a
what's
vibe.
causing
Yeah,
it.
right.
It's a vibe.
Just sending
Just, like,
vibes.
honestly, like if they can just like be like,
Actually.
you're not depressed anymore. Like honestly, like think of all the people who just like,
That'd be
yeah,
pretty
sign me up,
dope.
I'll do it for free, I'll pay for it.
That would be pretty.
They're already
dope.
working on that. I know I talked about it in another podcast, but they're already finding ways of essentially sending frequencies, in our, like putting a device right here, sending frequencies to activate certain parts to affect serotonin and dopamine. So for all we know, we could. It's called biohacking. You literally are hacking your brain by doing that, which may go into your Neuralink
Yeah.
stuff that you're talking
That's
about.
almost exactly on track. Like
All right.
we should watch the video before I start like just going off on a tangent because this is really interesting and just thinking about this with a musical perspective, like what would music look like in a world with this technology.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
go ahead and play the video and just watch it with an open mind.
I just need my fight or flight response to be triggered.
I want to feel something.
Anything.
Preferably inspired, but you know, for example.
I love the music just for this ad, by the way. Make them feel great after watching this.
I wonder if ads are anything like any other form, like any other like place in an advertisement where like the Burger King looks like perfect.
It's a job. Like in order to get this cool looking stuff, you have to go through so much trial and error just to get there.
We're seeing freaking surgery right now.
They're giving you things.
Would you take a job for $500,000?
Yes.
Implant in your brain?
Oh,
Fuck no, dude.
depending what kind of implant.
I mean,
That
I
was
guess
like
it's-
Mark Maron.
I mean, they don't tell you. They're just like, you know, like it's a connectivity device.
What scares me is you see that Black Mirror episode where that dude gets the thing planted into his
Yes.
Everybody?
Yeah. I know exactly what episode you're talking about.
Dude,
So
Yes,
that,
it's
that's
very
that
much
sketchy.
video
like
was not Shutterstock. That was actually Neuralink.
this. Mentions not Shutterstock.
That's actual video from the company. So if you want to get a sense for what it's like to work at Neuralink, that video is indicative of the atmosphere of Neuralink. It's an incredibly talented team, and you're going to hear a lot from them tonight. So we're going to actually go quite into depth on what we're doing, why we're doing, how we're doing it.
That was one of my
I'm
favorite
just
Twitter events
incredibly
of all
impressed
time.
with the caliber of talent at Neuralink.
It's also
And,
a self-described
in
communist
fact,
who
the main reason for doing this presentation is recruiting. And this
Not
will
everyone
be
can
a
be
slow
attendee.
process where we will gradually increase the issues that we solve until ultimately
One way to say it, dude.
we can do a full brain-machine interface. Yeah, this is going to sound pretty weird, but achieve a sort of symbiosis with artificial intelligence. But I think with a high bandwidth brain-machine interface, I think we can actually go along for the ride. And we can effectively have the option of merging with AI. I think this is extremely important.
Composed of nearly 100 billion cells called neurons. Neurons come in many complex shapes, but generally they have a dendritic arbor, a body called a soma,
Remember in the good old days, where,
axon.
like, nobles would just
The
like
neurons of your
take the
brain
blood and
connect
try
to
stay
form a
alive.
large network through axon
vampires are
dendrite
looking a little
junctions
too
called
normal
synapses.
nowadays.
At these connection
is scarier
points,
than vampires.
neurons communicate with each other using chemical signals called neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are released from the end of an axon in response to an electrical spike called an action potential.
I'm a boy
Everyone
though.
has those.
When a cell receives enough of the right kind of neurotransmitter
Whether they're
input,
fried or not, that's a whole
a
other
chain
question.
reaction is triggered
Some of mine
that
are
causes
at
an action potential to fire. And the neuron to in turn relay messages to its own downstream
Those bastards
synapses.
never die.
I can tell you
Action
one thing, my
potentials
SpongeBob
produce an
dendrites
electric
are
field
still
that
kicking.
spreads from the neuron and can be
remember him
detected by placing electrodes nearby, allowing recording of the information represented by a neuron.
Look, no cell
Our
phone
goal is
just
to
neurons living in the moment.
record from and stimulate spikes in neurons and do so in a way that is orders of magnitude more than
People gonna
anything
complain
that's
at
been done to
concerts.
date.
They're like, God,
And,
everybody just firing up
safe
neurons instead of
and,
just listening to the music.
Good enough that you can.
To be fair, it's gonna feel insane.
It's not
like
a major operation.
honestly,
It's
this
sort of
is gonna
equivalent
be the way
to
in which people
sort of a
who,
LASIK
like, are
type of thing.
anti-drugs are gonna be
So
able to trip.
this is in contrast to
It seems very immersive.
the best
and, like,
FDA-approved
you can't even control
system,
it.
which is like a Parkinson's deep brain stimulation thing, which would have on the order of 10 electrodes. So the system, even in version 1 that we're going to unveil today, is capable of 1,000 times more electrodes than the best system out there. And they're all read and write. So this is really quite, I think, I mean, for something to be 1,000 times more than what is publicly approved is quite a big difference. So there's
It's gonna be
very
like
tiny
Matrix,
threads
where you can just download
that
a fighting
are
simulation into your
about
brain.
about a tenth, roughly,
More
of the
like,
cross-sectional
just gonna
area of
download,
a
like,
human
a
hair. So
dishwasher
they're
program.
extremely tiny threads.
I don't
In
know,
fact,
it's
the
easier to train
threads
robots.
that we have,
Yeah,
like I said,
I
even in
don't know,
version
it
1,
depends on what you
are
cost,
about
like,
the same
robots,
size as a
they-
neuron.
they break
Humans
down.
are
So
really
if
efficient.
you're going to go
humans
stick
are
something
really
in your brain,
efficient. It's like
you want it to not be giant, you want it to be tiny, and to be approximately
one step at a time.
on par with
We're
the
not getting
things that are
raced
already
yet.
there, the neurons. You really need this to be done with a robot because it's very tiny and it needs to be very precise.
They're talking about
So you
the
don't, and you
surgery
don't want
to
to
implant
pierce a
these, so,
blood
like, they have,
vessel.
like,
So when you
robots
so
that
each
they-
thread,
Oh, the arm.
the robot looks
You have to.
looks sort of
the
basically
electrical
through
things inside
a
of it.
microscope and inserts each electrode specifically, bypassing any vasculature, any kind of like blood vessel, and making sure that it can be inserted without causing trauma or minimal trauma. So just to give you a sense of scale, this is how tiny the threads are. That is not even a big finger, that is a small finger. So these threads are just like I said, way smaller than a hair, and there's 1,000 of them. And this is what the robot looks like. It's sort of quite a complex device, but it all comes down to a very tiny point. So we want to just like you see the robot on the left, and then the what looks like the needles for insertion next to a penny, but in fact the actual needle that gets inserted is way tinier. It's that little tiny thing at where the arrow is pointing. That's actually the size of the needle. It's about 24 microns in diameter. It's so small you can't really even see it in the picture with the penny. You can get a sense for the robot doing the electrode insertion. that's a very zoomed in view. So they're all very, very tiny, and the robot is very selectively applying them very delicately. And then this is what the chip looks like. So action potentials. So each one of those represents one electrode. So there would be up to 10,000 of these lines. The operation on a per chip basis, it involves just a 2 millimeter incision, which is dilated to 8 millimeters, and then the chip is placed through that, and then it goes back to being 2 millimeters, and you can basically glue it shut. You don't even need a stitch. And then the interface to the chip is wireless. So you have no wires poking out of your head. Very, very important. So it's basically Bluetooths to your phone. Because we'll have to watch the App Store updates for that one. Make sure we don't have a driver issue. And we hope to have this aspirationally in a human patient before the end of next year. So this is not far.
I'm Max Hodak. I'm the president of Neuralink. So I've wanting to build a neural interface has really been like a central goal of my life for basically as long as I can remember. I think like we talk about AI being potentially the last invention that we have. I think that a high bandwidth BMI might be like really the first invention in many ways of like the next chapter of us. It's just really like, as Elon alluded to earlier, everything about your experience, your thoughts, your memories, it's all in your brain and represented in the firing statistics of action potentials. We knew, as Elon mentioned, that whatever we built, we wanted it to be completely wireless. It had to be something that would last for a long period of time, not something that you'd have to take out at 2, 3, or 4 years in. This is a photo of some of the prototypes that we've gone through over that time. So we started on the far left. That's an entirely passive board that has 64 electrodes on it and connects to connectors that go to big external amplifiers. And then we added integrated electronics with our first custom chip. That's also 64 channels. And then there was a big leap to the device that Elon showed a photo of earlier. That has 3,072 electrodes in a fully implantable package with just a USB-C port coming out. And then we took a step back in channel count because remember we have to optimize safety, longevity, and bandwidth all together. And so in order to optimize some of those other things, we moved to an easier to manufacture system that has 1536 channels and a USB-C port. And those last two are the focus of the paper that we released today. And they taught us a lot about the architecture that we think was the basis for our first human product that we're calling N1. And the central component of that is the N1 sensor. It's a little hermetic package. When it's fully assembled, this is missing an outer mold. Fits into an 8 millimeter diameter, 4 millimeter tall cylinder. Opening it up a little bit, you can see there's the thin film, which has the threads that Elon talked about, which is the wisp going off to the side. There's a hermetic substrate, and then that gets welded later to a package that goes over top, and that's mated to our custom electronics. And you really can't manipulate these with your hand. That part at the top is just a backing material that's surgical packaging. They're peeled off. The threads are peeled off that one at a time by the robot to place into the brain. And the first impetus for this is just you have to place these threads. You can't manipulate these threads. You need a robot. And then that grew into understanding where the blood vessels are and imaging into the tissue, and the surface of the brain moves because you're breathing and you have a heartbeat, and there's lots of complexity of dealing with this incredibly high entropy substrate. And so the N1 implant, we can place, as Elon mentioned, many of these, possibly up to 10. In one hemisphere, for our first patients, we're looking at four sensors, 3 in motor areas and 1 in a somatosensory area. And that connects wirelessly through the skin to a wearable device that we call the Link, which contains a Bluetooth radio and a battery. It'll be controlled through an iPhone app. You won't have to go to a doctor's office and have them have an exotic programmer to configure it. And so for the first product, we're really focusing on 3 distinct types of control. The first is giving patients the ability to control their mobile device, because we heard from over and over again from patient groups that if you have to have a caretaker around to press buttons for you, what's the point? You might as well have them do the thing. You have to get self-sufficient using the devices on your own. But we are working as hard as we can towards our first in-human clinical study next year.
We developed this robot that can rapidly and precisely insert hundreds of individual threads representing thousands of distinct electrodes into the cortex in less than an hour. This tool allows a surgeon to aim between the blood vessels that cover the surface of the brain with micron scale precision. Here the robot is selecting individual electrode threads and placing them into the brain in the pre-planned location with remarkable accuracy and repeatability. When you think of traditional neurosurgery, you probably think of something very invasive.
Wait till they talk about doing it.
Traditional surgery on the brain isn't something that patients ever look forward to or are excited about, except in the most dire circumstances. Usually a clamp is attached to the skull to keep it rigidly immobilized to the operating table. We often shave all or most of the patient's hair. Patients can end up with large visible scars. At Neuralink, we want to create an entirely different patient experience, something more like LASIK. We even want this to be possible under conscious sedation. That means you can get rid of the complexity and the risk of general anesthesia, as well as many of the unpleasant side effects, nausea, sore throat from a breathing tube. But our aim is to simplify the procedure, down to the injection of local anesthetic.
Oh, okay. And the
very
video?
small opening in the skin.
Yeah, I mean, it goes on
painless
for a little
opening
bit
in the
longer.
skull below.
I guess later in the video, basically, Elon is talking with everyone else on stage, and he's like, yeah, I mean, I wish we wouldn't have to experiment on animals first. You know, I wish, but blah, blah, blah. Like, for some reason, it's more worth it for humans that we, like, kill a couple mice before. So they, like, try it on mice and stuff.
So the joke is, too bad we couldn't get some people in here to, like, kill for our experiment. Ha, ha, ha.
Oh, God.
No, I mean, like, it's really hard to get human testing done legally in America. You have to get approved by the FDA first.
How backwards? Jeez, why can't they? Why can't the scientists do their thing?
It's all obstructing progress.
But I don't know about, like, how volunteer things go, but it'd probably be a big lawsuit if things went wrong anyway. But
Well, no, that's the thing. You have them sign away their rights completely. Like, you already do that now for clinical trials. The only thing is there is an ethical process to this kind of stuff, and one of them is that you have to make sure that you're not you're lowering the risk as much as possible for any type of research. And with something like this, you can lower the risk even more by taking your time rather than doing it immediately on humans. That's why there's a process of which animals even.
yeah,
Oh, gotcha.
yeah, that's why they start with cheaper, like, easier to work with, like, less complex brains first. Like, they've been able to do this with brain to computer interfacing. This technology has been around since the 60s. Like, there's a company called DARPA, and they get funded by the government to come up with the newest and best technology. Basically, they started after Sputnik launched in Russia. So once that launched, America was like, oh shit, like, they've got stuff we don't even know, like, how to build yet.
True.
So let's, like, learn how to build everything, like, create the most high-tech technology. So
I feel that.
now we're here, and we are implanting high bandwidth brain to machine interface consoles that we can now, like say in 5 years we'll be able to drive a car with our mind or
Good
something
lord.
like that.
Okay, yeah. So
And
like,
you know that there are
Basically.
Silicon Valley types who are just dying to have this implanted. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, me, I've been chosen.
so like, what are the best, like, if you know or in your imagination, before we go into like what's scary? Excuse me.
Yeah,
What is like the best case scenario for this, or like what? Because like I feel like there could be some pretty cool shit. I personally wouldn't do it, but it does seem. If I knew I had complete control and could just take it out whenever I wanted, it'd be a little more, like, attractive to me.
Yeah.
But I feel like you could probably do, like, you could literally be like, you could pretend to be like Professor X, except like on a computer, and you'll just be like, or like Brain Blast. Like, that could be some cool shit, dude.
I don't think you'd have an actual interface to work with. It's more like you automatically would receive it and be able to retrieve it at will. There may be a buffer length, obviously, but it's all about like how fast can you retrieve something without having to look it up.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of
Yeah, that too.
there are a lot of complications with this type of technology. One is that we just don't have a complete map of like how all the neurons work, and like for example, like analytical, like information versus impressions, right? So maybe the Neuralink could send you certain like affects or emotions, or like, but like at what point will it begin to be able to send information that we can decode? Like,
Yeah.
when will it, like, because they're like we could be receiving impulses, but there's no prediction of how we will make sense of that, or if we could like, have actual linguistic information.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was
sent to
thinking.
us.
It would be more like a feeling or something like that.
Right, initially at the very least, because we
Yeah.
just don't know enough about like how the brain operates to really like send like discrete information.
Or like,
True. Okay.
could you even send like legit just straight to the brain a message that's like audible in your head?
Well, okay. In computer coding, like the way you start learning about computer coding, like obviously it sounds hard, right? To write an entire program. Like who wrote the operating system for Apple? Like that's insane.
Yeah.
It was many years of doing things that people started before you and then people carried on after you. So like if you were to start like uploading memories to other people's brains, you wouldn't just like guess at random at first. Like you would
No, yeah,
get
that's
people
true.
to use your machine and monitor like
Yeah.
with high precision what's happening to the neurons when they're firing.
Damn, that
Like,
is true.
And then you have a boilerplate. That's the base plate of how humans act. If you get like 100 people to do it, you have like a huge gamut of emotions to work with, and like drives and desires, like what causes a brain to think and stuff. Now you could just mimic those. Like you can like say, I got this memory from this person. Let's just see what happens if I
If
give
we
it to
send
that
those
one.
exact
Oh,
same,
God.
Same
like,
exact frequency.
Whoa,
of
yeah.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be making anything from scratch, probably.
At least
Probably
not
not.
initially.
You'd be trying to like
initially.
replicate existing.
But then, like,
And
once
but then
you-
it seems
but
like-
then you start editing the code, right? Oh my
Yeah.
god! Because like, think about this: like the way that we like news media is already presented to us, it's very much a facade in the sense that it is scripted to create like certain impressions, like the way that like our news headlines and the footage that we see is given we're told it's authentic and like just the facts, but we're getting a lot of ideology in there. Imagine if you could like tweak actual recollections or tweak
Yeah.
like oh, check out this thing that happened in Venezuela.
I don't want to,
and then
dude, that's
tweak it
fucked.
to like change one person's face to another, or like just even like
Jeez.
minor tweaks or like
Yeah.
Minority.
Well, that already happened. That's already a thing with memories. Like the things that you remember now, they're not
Right.
actually how it happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone like with an agenda could like actually manipulate that, that's even scarier.
Well, they can already.
Yeah.
It's if you
like
you
the Mandela
express,
effect at the very
yeah.
least.
Like you expose somebody to something enough times that they'll believe it is. In fact, I can probably do an effect on you guys right now.
Prove it.
For like,
me.
I'm all right. Well, because I see you here, and I'm gonna remind myself months down the line, if you remember this, all right?
Okay.
Cause I remember there was one time where you and I we were back at Point Loma, I went into your dorm. No, I was at your friend's house in Flex housing, all right? But we were there. There was this one friend of yours. She was a blonde. She had come in and like I saw her randomly like just do this to your hair and just walk away and say, "Hey, I'll meet you when we go dancing right now." All right. So I say this, and then in like let's say in 4 or 5 months, I can ask you again. And then I can wait another couple months, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember
that's
us.
true.
I remember that."
And that's like kind of how gaslighting works.
I didn't
Like,
want to
like,
give in, but I'm like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're already
it's true.
thinking about it because like if somebody says something to you, it might trigger memories, and you may even get false memories. Like that's a huge thing right now in court.
But imagine
in how
doing that
you
without
word
like
things.
right, and that's how like
No,
that's how the
no,
police
that's
instantaneously.
like interrogate people.
That's
Police
fucking
tell
cray.
people that like what a story of what happened
Yeah.
like in interrogation until the person under interrogation starts to believe it, or even like gaslighting, right? So if anyone's unlucky enough to have like a family member that's like gaslighting that gaslights people, they can just say like, no, that never happened, I don't know like what you're talking about. And especially if there's like a couple people who will buy into that, like you will eventually reconstruct like what happened.
True. The brain's
So,
very
like-
impressionable.
Apparently, if Elon's to be believed.
so they can write history over.
I mean,
quicker
like-
than
I
anyone else
mean,
has
not like
before.
that. That's kind of already. I know what you mean.
Eventually,
It'll be
though,
quicker.
It's already happened.
not even if everyone, okay, say this takes hold and a lot of people like use this for initially like improving their body and mental disorders or whatever, right? Like that's what they're claiming is the benefit in medicine right now. So those people use it, and then like more people are curious, like, oh, you can download the Charles Dickens book you've always wanted to read and just like instantly remember it.
Yeah.
So like that sounds cool and all, but like eventually if the majority of people on earth have that, then like Now, if you
Doesn't
don't have
matter.
it, you're
Oh yeah,
minority.
Yeah,
most of
I
my
know.
value, most of my value in reference to capitalism is my ability to recall and look up information quickly. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just better at using Google and remembering what's on Google than a lot of people. It's like
Yeah.
I'm sure like for people who don't get to work in like extremely technical jobs, or like people who are not working like labor jobs, like. The information economy, which is everything that everyone was ranting about in the 90s and 2000s, just becomes absolutely meaningless.
So then the question is, what does it mean to know something? This is a philosophy question in which all right, for instance, Mount Everest. All of us know about, Mount Everest, right? And you probably watch movies, you probably read about it,
I know
but
so
do you
much
actually know it? Unless
Yeah.
you've been there yourself. And in order for your memories and everything need to go off a certain way in order for you to actually
And
know something.
Everyone who's been on top of Mount Everest has been on top of a different Mount Everest, in the sense that there was a slightly different subjective experience. So I think the answer to what it means to know something is what we would call phenomenological, meaning that it's more than just information. It is immersion, it is experience, it is subjectivity, right? So even it's what's the the highest point Mount Everest, the lowest point Marianas Trench like? Well, if you're a person, you're never going to experience Marianas Trench, but if you're a deep sea fish, you're going to experience it very differently. The very hard wiring physical nature of our brains dictates that everyone's going to experience reality slightly differently. Unless, of course, there's some way to artificially sync up everybody's phenomenological experiences.
Now that
Get in
goes.
the hive.
Now that makes me think about music though, because a lot of people know how to play guitar, but how many of them know to actually play the guitar?
Right.
Because
What do you mean by that?
Well,
for instance, I can play scales, but does that mean I can come up with my own music? Can I do certain things?
So then it would just be
am I different?
definition, saying play guitar is a very broad definition, and then you would say I can play this or I can play this. It's playing guitar isn't really a definition. You'd have to then add the sub part of
The
it.
caveats.
You're I can push my finger down on command, and I can put it very
Yeah, that's
precisely
playing
across
guitar. I
the
think
different-
that's playing guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Part of it is just different levels of competence at something. So you have when you are unconscious incompetence, where you don't know why you're not getting the sounds you like, or you're not playing what you want to play. Then there's conscious incompetence. You realize the things that you need to change. Then you reach conscious competence, where if you really think about it, you can play the guitar, but it usually sounds mechanical and stilted, like somebody who's learning how to play a piano solo, or a piano piece for the first time. And then your goal is unconscious competence, where you're so good, it comes so naturally that it even becomes hard to teach it, because it's just part of your muscle memory.
I exude greatness. I don't even try.
Yeah, it's when these people who are these pro gamers, some of them are good at explaining how they do what they do, but a lot of the times it's just just get good,
Yeah, or
Instinct.
watching a guitar lesson from a professional.
Oh yeah,
musician.
just
not a sessions player, someone who actually teaches, but a Slash or something. You're just oh shit, dude, that was slow down a little bit.
So here's a particularly easy riff,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually had one question prepared for this and a couple more after this, but the first one that I wanted to ask was, in a world with Neuralink and people using brain-to-computer interfacing at the quickest speeds we've ever, does music exist? Does live music exist? Does composed music exist?
In a hypothetical world where all organisms, all human organisms, for the sake of the term, are connected. So in this hypothetical universe where we all use Neuralink.
Yeah, if
But
we
if you
all
think about
share
it,
one brain, kind of.
Majority of the world already is connected, and putting it in our brain is good. Yes, it's gonna make it faster. But it's not gonna make it that much faster than typing it in your phone. So I
Well, it
I
also,
feel the whole everyone being connected wouldn't change that drastically.
can the ego survive Neuralink? So for example, my idea of an autonomous individual self, I'm skeptical that could even survive a world where I am constantly bombarded with impressions, memories, and ideas of other people, individual consciousness.
Yeah, you'd go crazy.
There's no
Because I
agency.
think it would still exist, and it would be trying to fight through all that extra noise, and you would legit just go crazy trying to sift through all the other crap.
I have a good example. So my coworker gave me kind of like a thought experiment in regards to this. Imagine you're typing on your phone and there's an autocorrect feature that you're using on your keyboard. So every couple times you like misspell a word or you type a word that it doesn't recognize but it wants to correct anyway, it pops up and it's like, no, I don't want to do that. Like sometimes it auto corrects and like you actually have to backspace and redo it and it's like fuck. So imagine that goes on in your brain, like you're trying to think of something and then like there's a different memory being projected out towards you and you're like, I don't want to think right doorknobs right now. Like,
Yeah.
Legit go crazy. Like I don't think your brain's supposed to have like that much information without like a filter of like.
It's an extreme
going into
version of
your
what we
eyes,
already
right?
experience with an interconnected world with technology and mobile devices. Like already, like the ability to maintain attention span, the ability to avoid depression, the ability to feel like you're not alienated, is like diminishing in a world where like forms of interpersonal connection that we are adapted for and evolutionarily prepared for being replaced with these rapidly transforming systems that feel really alienating. So I think that this is just like a hyper extreme version of that.
Yeah.
The thing is, the reason why you feel those is your body naturally releases certain things when it's presented. But what if your brain automatically is receiving that amount?
Like they would have
Right, so it's controlling how much is
yeah.
each.
Floodgate. Yeah.
Jeez.
Because all right.
Well, first of all, the
a noise
pharmaceutical
gate,
industry
rather.
would be pissed.
Dude, then
well,
imagine.
no, the pharmaceutical industry, for all we know, could be one of the people selling these.
They might be
Yeah.
alone.
Like
Oh,
imagine,
yeah.
Probably.
like that.
Yeah, no, they'll adapt. Pfizer will figure it out.
They don't call it Kaiser Permanente for no. Permanent Caesar. That's what it means in German, by the way. Just,
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Just like gonna shrug
That sounds
myself.
benign. That sounds cool.
Because a big problem that we're having right now, as individuals, is that we're used to receiving dopamine whenever we do something good that benefits us. But when we're on our phones, we receive small hits of dopamine. If somebody likes our picture, we get a little bit. It's like, we got an award. Somebody like this and that we like, to the point. But we're just chasing those small hits. But when you're around people, you not only get a larger hit of dopamine, you also get oxytocin and all these extra things on top.
And exercise.
And I don't know, man. We tend to
step away
just sit
from the
around and watch
screens.
TV.
I mean, some people were talking about surfing before the show, so.
Yeah.
Dude, like,
we talked about it. We didn't go into it.
Yeah. No, it's.
No, but yeah, that's my point though. Is like, all right, now we have a lot of people in on this. Everybody can download skills, say like everyone
Skillshare?
can play instruments now.
So, I think music
can-
could exist, but it would fundamentally change what music was for and how
I
music
feel.
was expressed. So, like, up until like the Renaissance and the Enlightenment, music existed almost explicitly and primarily to glorify existing structures of power via religion in the state. So if you were involved with music, you were generally a minstrel. You would tell stories in mythology that reinforced existing stories and narratives. Maybe you were in court, or you're probably part of the church. The same with like other forms of art. Like that's how they like maintain power. So if you're like a peasant who lived in a mud hovel your entire life and you see this giant cathedral and these beautiful choirs, you're like, oh my God. Well, God exists, and God is, the king right up there at the top who's like made all this happen. He's definitely like in with God. And then, once the Enlightenment happens and those ideas become disentangled, you get like art that and in music that is countercultural, that is counter hierarchical, that is arrayed against existing power, and that like stuff like punk music, right?
Yeah.
And I think that disappears.
So
I don't think
actually-
that exists in Neuralink world.
I have
Oh, okay.
an alternate theory for that.
Okay.
In a world where everything is perfect, in what is music, I believe it will be the mistakes at that point. Because if everybody can do something perfectly,
Why are you assuming
Then,
that
like-
it's gonna be?
well, that's
perfect?
kind of
we're like,
it will
'cause
be
jazz,
it will
know
be
that's about
perfectly
breaking
executed,
rules.
right?
I think at least we won't know till it happens. But like you can give someone a skill. I think creatively that doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna be able to make something original that's good.
Well,
by just having that.
Well,
skill.
first of all, like the idea of originality is
Uniqueness.
suspect, right? Everything is citational and derivative, but also you just have an access to an endless library. You have access to all of the music you ever would want to listen to. So you'd probably theoretically, if you were able to like maintain individuality even, but that's even the question, like, do we need music in a world where, you know, or would we desire music, right? There's like this question of desire. Do we desire music in a world where we can feel the exact affect that we want to feel, or more likely the state and corporate power want us to feel? Like music usually, like I listen to music to fill in gaps, right? There's like the empirical world and the artistic world, and I know that distinction is like, it's illusory, but for me it works. But if like, you know, if I feel bad and I feel like something I'm like, you know, I'm like you know, fuck Elon Musk, and then like the Elon Musk fires into my brain and I'm like, oh, I love Elon Musk. Do I need music at that point?
You
You're just
called
like,
the cops
yeah.
on yourself.
Yeah, right. It's like, it makes 1984 look like a nice little fairy tale.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you have all the same experiences, like, if the way you come to know things is all through the same channel, like, you're not going to have as many uniquenesses. Like, the genres are going to get tighter, and there's only going to be a couple left at the end.
So I think Will's
one.
right that if it's about anything, it's going to be about the mistakes, right? Right, or at least it might be a historical perspective, right? So like almost like a tribute to something that doesn't exist anymore, or like the way in which like you know, technical musicians and purposefully create sounds that are disharmonious and that are jarring in order to subvert like existing like standards of what makes music good, right? Like really talented artists intentionally doing things that alienate the general audience from their music. That might be the only way for music to really be interesting.
That sounds like Jed's music. Some of the interesting stuff you showed me so far. Like you showed me. Well, Tennyson is very technical, but you were a few other ones that you showed me that were like extremely strange, like screamo mixed with like all these other genres. You actually shared a playlist with me about that.
Yeah. Which one was that?
It was just said stuff that you liked. That's what it said.
Yeah.
It wasn't like any hyper realistic.
Okay, so first of all, the thing you guys have to know about Jed is that he makes so many playlists of music, and they all happen on the whim, and he'll just add like 150 songs per day, and then like never touch it again. So like, you really have to give them the time and the date and the fire, I say vibe. You guys were having that.
Yeah,
day.
there are a lot of different purposes for creating.
Because you did one specifically for weird and strange music that most people should not.
Oh,
be
he has
listening
about
to.
like 10 playlists of weird and
Oh,
strange
wait,
music.
for Caleb's classroom.
Yeah,
Probably
I
that
created a playlist for like a theoretical film that my roommates and I would write.
So what drew you to that then?
I don't know. I guess just like the affect associated with, you know, like watching a movie or like watching like the content within a movie. Say, there are like feel good moments that are highlighted by these particular, you know, songs played by artists that are, you know, they're chosen because they're the right fit for the aesthetic of the film, right? So
Like the way the melody moves or something. Like
yeah. So since my roommate is really he's into a lot of different television, all sorts of genres, and we like to shoot the shit about like writing a film. So I just decided to put soundtracks to like different sequences. I guess like imagine like a different scene where this song is playing, or like what's going on in this scene. How does the flow of the music change like throughout? You know, what there's like moments of exposition, there's moments of climax.
So pretty much you're finding already the songs to like compose it all together in the end, or at least to create the feelings for each of these individual scenes.
Yeah.
Which you're experimenting with, and like I also see like you guys are always experimenting with like different pedals. Like I feel like that's a huge part of how you get the new music out. Like I've heard some of the weird stuff that you guys make in what is your apartment, but if you know how to use those pedals correctly, would you be making like not correctly? Sorry, I don't want to make it sound like you don't know how to do them. But like by experimenting, like how you get a certain sound that you wouldn't have gotten if you know how to do everything perfectly to what you wanted.
Well, what do you mean by that?
So for instance, how do we get dubstep was because of mistakes. If we use those softwares, if we did everything correctly, then we wouldn't be getting all these new sounds, new genres. So So that's kind of what I'm trying
So like
to
when you
get
have a
at.
vision of something in your head and then you go to actually record it and it ends up sounding different, you're like, why can't I get it? But then that process, like the thing that you create, ooh, that's cool.
Right. I mean, like,
Yeah, like whenever they first scratch the violin.
yeah, you can talk about how clipping has been used by like heavy trap artists.
Let's talk about it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you mean
like-
by clipping? Because I don't know
clipping-
if everyone knows what
Oh
that
yeah,
is.
clippings is when the
The sound intentionally, go for it.
the sound kind of intentionally busts your speakers or how.
Yeah,
Now-
the frequencies, it can't pick up frequencies that powerful, right? So like when you turn the bass up too high on your speakers, it's like popping.
Oh,
or if you
yeah,
ever
yeah.
see where it goes up to the red when you're like, I don't know if you've ever like mixed music, but if you
maxed
put
out.
the beat, like the bass, if you don't up too high, it will start distorting the rest of the music and it will cut out the rest of like the sound.
Yeah, but
So,
that
like,
always sounds bad, right? Like, has anyone?
no,
ever done
it sounds
good?
fantastic in like heavy trap and like trapcore music.
Really?
And it's like, if you think about what.
Like think about like
Make something
XXX, like he uses clipping all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But good is something like, it's not something that's just like inherently put into your brain. It's something that I feel like you get just from like accumulating experiences, and then people kind of tell you what's good, and you're like, oh,
But
that is, and it's
also,
like familiar.
If it slaps, that is kind of inherent. Like having like a rhythm, having a rhythm that like X, like it may not be good music, but I think it's good. But it slaps, right?
No, but I
like,
mean, like-
like that rhythm, that like
Yeah, yeah.
primal rhythm, like really hits home with like across different audiences who
and
may
it's
not.
probably hitting something that's familiar
Yes.
in those
Yeah.
people.
A deeper
Because if you
vein.
think like the music that we like Western music, and like music coming out of the United States is like you hear it all over the world. But there's a lot of other music from a lot of other countries that they're using scales that we would listen to and be like, whoa, that's very harsh and like abrasive. But they would hear ours and think like, whoa, that's like, what is that?
That is where like our music is going, in the sense that like Latin music, particularly like the Latin sound is very unique to that style, and it has different it has different beat patterns than music that we're used to. Also because of the language being different, so like a Latin language lends itself to vocal variations that are more fluid. So like the fact that like Latin music is so popular and one of the most popular genres of music, even in the United States, like shows that we're bringing other cultures. Very much the same idea as hip hop, where like hip hop is taking a lot of rhythms from like the diaspora and like from Africa, and using it to revitalize a very milquetoast and boring genre. Like music during the 1910s and 20s sucked. It was really bad.
Yeah, some of it was good.
Like some of it was good, yeah.
Dude.
But like I'm just saying, like war ballads were not. They didn't slap. They weren't very.
I don't
good.
know, man.
Dude,
We
the
got
Turkish march
some like
goes
gypsy
hard,
jazz,
dude.
Django Reinhardt.
Oh no!
that's the
Don't get me
20s.
wrong.
That's
There was
Star
good
Spangled
music at the time.
Banger, man. Star Spangled Banger. That's good music right there. What are you talking about?
Can we all just agree that electro swing is canceled?
Nah.
Why did they make a
I
whole
have
movie with
all
it,
every once in a
too?
while
Hey,
listen to like something.
Caravan Palace is still performing over here on October, okay?
Electro.
Just because
swing.
someone takes something you love and like makes a worse version of it doesn't mean that some people don't enjoy it.
I'm on an island here.
So that's what I mean, though. Is like, all right, have you guys ever heard the term player piano?
Yes.
Uh-uh.
It's an old item. It's an old musical item that you could have bought, and sometimes they did it by a pedal or like something you push, or like you drive the belt before electricity, and then other times after electricity was made popular, you could actually have like an electric player piano that just like.
Oh yeah, I remember those as a
Oh,
kid.
and it actually like moved.
Yeah,
the
it's
And you
keys
could like try to
I've
follow
seen them on, like,
along.
TV.
Yeah, I used to play with this as a
Holy
kid.
crap.
And you program it like the old analog way, like when you would pedal
Uh-huh.
on the bottom, and it would like power the
Oh.
motor. It'd be programmed by like these brushes coming across, and every once in a while there's like a spike in it, and that plucks that hammer
Oh,
and
that's
hits that
legit.
note and stuff. It actually like
Okay.
mimics a human playing it and stuff.
Dang.
But so player piano is like a really good concept for like maybe how is music going to be created in a way like in a world where you have every program at your fingertips, every instrument, every
Almost like in your
emotion.
brain.
Yeah, like
Oh, we already do?
What is
That's
music
the
gonna
crazy
be?
part.
I think like
left, like what music's gonna be
I
left.
think it'll be I don't know. This is gonna sound weird, but I feel like you guys might understand this just because we all create music. Have you ever like just created a whole song in your head and you can like hear it and you're like,
Yes.
straight up, if I could just play this right now out of my head, it would just play like a song.
Yeah, and it would be the best thing I've ever made.
So like if you had, this is where I think a cool thing of this technology, people who have that would literally just like spit out a full song. Like you just like plug something into your brain and then on your computer on like Logic or something, it's like there and you're like, holy crap, this is what was in my brain. Or like on that Black Mirror episode.
But then you
remember,
realize
like, Miley
nobody
Cyrus?
likes those sounds that you come up with in your head.
Well, that's like part of this.
You gotta
I think
tweak it.
we can't
It's
underestimate like the death of the illusion of individualism that like occurs with this technology, where music might become more of like a collective consciousness or a form of like collective community. So for example, like we can all get around and like listen to really good music, like just get like super stoned and just like listen to an album and
Legally.
have a for lack of a better term, like a transcendental group experience. Like music, that's historically kind of how music has operated.
Like an
where-
acid club.
Yeah, like it transports you. It's almost like it's like almost ego death. So like there's an argument that like music could head in that direction. Also, I think music could be a lot more complex and seemingly random. So
Yeah,
one of the
I feel
things
that.
I really enjoy is a lot of like really avant-garde noise musicians who like make
What's
sounds
noise? That's not music.
who make sounds that don't
Noise.
sound particularly planned or articulate, but like if you really listen to it and like study it, you can start finding the patterns that the original artist found.
I feel
That's
like the artist who
dubstep
would like
right there.
bring
Yeah.
a piano to a busy street and
Except
then not
it's not
play it, and
terrible.
then just record traffic behind it.
Just kidding.
That's
That's
dope.
music.
I listened to
Or
Skrillex
like
in
the
2000.
dude would like blow up a balloon and then put like a little brush on the balloon.
One of the bows.
Yeah.
Finding new things that are musical.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Like-
that'd be like who
Dude.
can record the best field sound?
There could be some
Oh.
weird stuff
Things, yeah.
because if music could go straight into your brain and not into your like through your ears to your brain, think of the frequencies and like sounds that you would never be able to experience because your ears can't pick them up.
Could you does the
Exactly.
brain even have the
Weird,
capability
dude.
to experience sounds that we
That's
can't
true.
hear?
I don't know.
No,
Like-
actually, the way the cochlear muscle is
Yeah,
created
like,
doesn't allow.
There's no way for us to hear
Oh,
the
really?
frequency that a dog hears, at least not currently. But
like human ears, the way they're constructed, it's almost analog, and then it gets certain chemicals released into the brain after that digest and understand what you just heard.
Oh, gotcha.
It's like it's not digital. It's
And
kinda
then
weird.
not even that, your brain naturally filters out sound.
So then,
Like-
if that's the case, I think music would stay pretty like much the same then.
well, nothing
because
would
you
stay
wouldn't
pretty
have,
much
like,
the same for starters. Like the culture would change, but we haven't thought about how like cultural changes would impact music. Like
Okay. Let's.
Yeah.
We can discuss that after the first break. So,
Okay.
yeah. So obviously, I have some more questions on this topic. I don't want to finish it yet, but we're gonna get to the first 3 songs, and I don't remember which ones they are now, but I'll tell you about them after the break.
Perfect.
Sweet.
When the prejudice let us down, wasted from beyond our ground. Don't let the school make a fool of you, because the teachers may be fools too. When the prejudice let us down, wasted from beyond our ground. Don't let the school make a fool of you. Your idols scream to me, throwing shame on my face as I turn away from infamy and disgrace. I smile to you, 'cause I want you to see how I break the rules in front of your Trinity. Your idols scream to me, throwing shame on my face as I turn away from infamy and disgrace. Oh, I smile to you. I smile to you. I smile to you.
And we're back. Welcome to
Yeah.
sorry, that was too fast. Okay, let's slow down here.
Sounds like you did debate.
Clear.
Speed. Okay. And we're back. Welcome back to the Hubb podcast, where we have our friends Will Anthony, Lenny Kama, Jonathan Veal, Jed Valenzuela, and me.
Wow, just gave away all our
Yeah.
personal information.
Yeah,
right
now
there.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
No, I have nothing to say.
Captured all their identities. And we left off, I think, on like losing all autonomy because of a brain implant, and music is basically like gone or something.
Or it's very different.
But probably not.
But probably. Okay,
I like
so
the
yeah.
optimism.
I think the worst case scenario though would be that not that like we lose like our autonomy and that we become like this beehive culture where we end up like going like spacefaring with a bunch of different like spaceships and weird genocides happening on other planets.
Ah.
No, the worst case scenario is we're limited to one genre and it's all decided on who's ever running the hive. And it's like some old
Oh no, it's
dude who's like 45.
It's early 2000s pop. It's just
Dude,
Britney
that's-
Spears.
that would
Whoops,
be
I
one
did
in
it
all our
again
minds
and
from
again
now
and
on
again.
all the charts.
Get ready for Smash Mouth. in your
Yes,
brain.
bro.
Honestly, there's no amount of dopamine that would prevent me from like jumping out a window. Like, I would like overpower the system on the like the 1000th repeat. So at my job, someone thought it would be funny to put that on endless repeat, and I almost quit that day.
Oh gosh.
Dude, actually, one of my favorite things to do, if you guys can do this at like a local pool hall or bar, if they have a jukebox that you can pay for the extra to play next and like have the queue. Don't just get in the line. Pay extra to get next for like 2 or 3 songs of this 20-minute song called Inagata Davida by Iron Butterfly.
So there was
Everybody gets pissed. It's like an hour long.
That was your fault.
And they're all the cheapest because no one wants to play it.
Yeah, true.
That's so great.
so funny.
So there was a guy, a comedian, who got kicked out of a bar for playing The Boys Are Back in Town consecutively until he was forced to leave.
I'm pretty sure John Mulaney did that with What's New Pussycat.
Yes, he did do that,
Really
but
shut
I
down
think
the
the psych
bar.
rock way is better.
No, I like yours better.
That song is only like 5 minutes too, so You get more bang for or more time for your buck.
True. And more bang, hopefully.
Sounds more cowbell, at least. But just to wrap up this little thought on Neuralink, so if music exists, then it's going to be different, and you have a lot of the genres starting to congeal over time as people like start drawing knowledge from the same thing and not actually going there and learning it for themselves or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I just think it's also important to just remember that considering the conditions under which Neuralink is like being created, it's always its purpose, like the purpose that it was created for is always going to be like to increase the productivity and production of the people who use it. So that's definitely going to like have entailments on like things like art and music, because like I think we were talking about this earlier, how music's already like, you know, on these like production schedules because of labels, and the way that like the improvisation and the artistic like spontaneity of it can get lost. I think like that's something we should definitely like talk about as we're concluding.
But sorry, I just want to add off of that, because that's actually something that's already happening, like in Silicon Valley in some ways. A big one is microdosing, things like LSD, psilocybin, and all these other psychedelic mind-altering drugs. There are people that do it consistently, either to come up with new ideas for, you know, like I said, Silicon Valley, and there's people that take these substances to make new music. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of famous songs have been done under those circumstances.
No, dude.
No way.
No.
So for all we know, people can be using it in that way, like just to enhance what's already there, rather than like solely depend on it. Because a big part of what music is an expression of what's going on. Like that's the reason we make music. At some point, like I don't think we'd be making music if we didn't have something to say, or because like you said, like originally it was made for to like worship basically, or to tell stories about what happened. Yeah, or like remembering people from the past.
True.
And like finding something to connect us all, which like you said, Neuralink may connect us all in a different way, but I don't think it will stop us from doing something with those expressions.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think like one of our, and this is more of a meme, but like I really think that in order to make Neuralink work, Elon Musk should team up with Boston Dynamics and Jeff Bezos, and have the robots go and forcibly implant these in us.
The dogs.
I already have a name for them. They're Bezos Battle Bots.
That's a good idea.
I want to get on, like I want to like trademark that, or at least like have my name on that on the air, so like, you know, I can at least get credit for that.
And they all run on Tesla batteries.
Yes.
Sponsored by Tidal.
It's the only streaming
Tidal
service
doesn't
for a brain.
exist in the future.
No, it's the only one. It's the implant
That's
that
what
we
I'm saying.
get.
That's the scary thing. It's like, what if we like bottleneck all the
Yeah, you're like trying to go to Tidal, and then your neurons kicking. You're like, I gotta go to Tidal. Gotta go to Tidal. Try to go to Spotify or something.
So my own little thought with that is like, yes, we can receive all the information from the world, but it still takes time for our conscious minds to process it, any of it. So yeah, I can. It just might be like having an overload of choice.
Yeah, that's kind of I was thinking too, and that's why it would make you go freaking crazy. Because it's like it would just be there, but I don't think you'd be able to do anything.
It would have to be
with
gated in some way, right? There'd have to be like a certain amount of information you're able to like process.
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be like, you know, like the internet as it is now. You don't open up everything.
Yeah, that's kind of, and that's why I think it partly wouldn't be that different, because like your phone, you can already go and get the amount of information that your brain's able to process. So like if it went straight to your brain, if you're getting more information, you'd probably get slightly more, but I don't think it would be like that much more. And I think it would be faster, but I also don't think it would be like so much faster that it would make like a race of super beings.
What if it can like change the way your vision recognizes?
But that, like that kind of stuff, that would be crazy. That would be freaking dope.
Yeah.
Or like make your reaction time faster somehow or something. Or like, I don't know. like
Make
slow
your
down
bodily
time.
organs like more efficient or something.
That would be dope.
Well, that they were talking about, it said that this thing would add years onto your life. Well, first of all, it would be able to sense when anything was wrong with your body, right? Like if your levels, like if you're having too
That's
much
also
like
dope.
protein of a certain protein or a certain like levels of chemicals in the blood,
Yeah.
it would immediately pick up on that. A theoretic, like I imagine, because this
It's
is
like wearing a heartbeat monitor.
yeah, but like for your entire body. So like your body has telltale signs when any organ is like malfunctioning or there's any sort of health. People would know about like infectious diseases before they even struck. Like so say like you got infected with a virus. Like the virus always initially makes its way to your liver, but like once it like got out of your liver, like before even symptoms started really like intensifying, they might be able to figure it out. I don't know. Virus is a bad example. 'Cause
You would find out that
it goes to your
devices
liver, it
are
doesn't go
killing
through
you
your brain, but-
way earlier, and that would suck.
Yeah, disease
You're like, dude, I'm
prevention.
24. I don't want to stop now.
Well, and that's what you were saying is assuming that there aren't already some type of electrical responses from our liver to our brains
Right.
or something different.
Right. Yeah, but usually that's like malaria. I think of malaria because malaria remains undetected by your immune system until it corrupts your liver first, which is one of the reasons why it's such a deadly virus. Because a lot of viruses immediately attack your bloodstream, but it's evolved to be able to like be undetected in your liver for like a week. But
That sucks.
So yeah, I know. I and that one of the things that scientists are trying to do to beat malaria is that malaria has a specific like protein coding that allows it to connect to red blood cells. If they can genetically alter red blood cells to not attach to that, then like malaria is ended, and the number one killer of human beings in all time, like in history and prehistory, would be beaten.
Be
They've killed
choking
more
on water.
people than people have killed people.
No, malaria has like I think
I'm just
there was
kidding.
a statistic about malaria being really bad.
Yeah, like seriously, mosquitoes have been known to kill more people than people have killed people
True.
because they
Which is
carry malaria so well. Yeah. But with all this new technology and the ways that we're going to be able to create music or like get knowledge to our brain quicker and quicker, we're still just going to download cat videos.
Yes, I broke down and started watching dog and cat videos, even though I'm like, oh, this is a waste of time. But oh, it's so cute.
Dude,
I need
they
the
just
dopamine.
jump
I
and
need
fall
the dopamine.
sometimes.
Have you ever seen Baby Monkey riding on a pig, Baby Monkey?
Yes.
Oh,
No!
It's so lit.
Yeah.
dude.
Can we bring that up?
Baby Monkey.
Could we actually just watch that?
Baby Monkey riding on a pig, Baby Monkey.
So you're trying to get us all on the same neural link right now. By
Yeah,
watching
literally.
it.
I'm like,
Watch
can
it.
we all
Watching
just like
something.
join in and watch this video so we all can...
Oh, get hit a hit of
Yeah.
dopamine and oxytocin.
You're
right
about
now.
to see the cutest thing you've ever seen in your life.
How quick can it
Baby
be?
Monkey. Baby Monkey.
I think that.
Where is the
No, you have to
vid,
put,
baby
riding-
monkey?
riding
But
on
baby
a
monkey
pig.
riding on a pig. Yeah. Oh, 10 hours.
It's a 10-hour.
Yeah,
Of
10-hour
course, it's a 10-hour version.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yes.
Dude, this is straight up the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Baby monkey,
Yeah.
baby monkey, riding on a big baby monkey,
8 years old.
Oh, I love that.
baby monkey.
I want both.
Dang, that is good, dude. Shoot.
The more
But
of that
why
is
do we all
babies
find
never
that
die.
cute?
Because neoteny, the term neoteny, it means that we all love small things that look like
And
children.
that proportion.
Infantile, yeah.
It's like in our genetic makeup because we have to take care of those things.
Yeah,
'cause
watch
they
out.
can't take care of
It's cute.
themselves.
It's not bad ever.
Yeah.
Which actually that makes me think because in our genetic makeup, our brains are developed in a certain way. If we have Neuralink, does that mean we'll actually be experiencing the exact same thing if our brains are slightly
Oh, you
different
right.
already?
That's it right there. You won't then. That's the only hope.
Well,
Can you rephrase it?
basically everyone's brain physiology is
different.
slightly different. So
Yeah.
even like
But it's
if they
like
tried
how
to
weed
perfectly
affects someone different, or like
if they try to perfectly replicate an experience, like your neurons are all in slightly different places and arranged in slightly different ways, and like even like chaos theory checks back for like perfect replication.
So you won't be able
Example.
to like believe the thoughts they give us.
Maybe, or they'll feel fake, or we'll be able to tell they're fake.
yeah, I
That's
feel like
interesting.
that would be
At least it would make for a really good sci-fi movie.
true.
Yeah.
Because like an example would be, there are actually two. One is synesthesia.
Yeah.
One, it means that their
Explain,
brains
please.
are already, all right, synesthesia happens when your senses are crossed. So an example would be sound with
Taste?
vision.
Oh.
Or sound and taste. Where if you hear something, you can taste it.
Yeah.
Because your brain is already rewired in a weird way. So like for music with sight, you might see.
Oh, I
The-
feel that.
It links the
actually.
sensations to
Yeah, it links to sensations. So like, people imagine that person receiving the exact same implant as somebody who everything is normal. They may experience a completely, maybe even like torturous vision of whatever they were feeling prior. So I feel like that might either force
That'll
a
be a
natural
thing.
selection to occur, or
It's
You
okay.
know.
I'm sure that people over at Elon Musk's like laboratory, they got it covered. They'll figure out it.
there's just way too
Maybe.
much
Nah, they got it.
variability in the human body and genome for it to.
No, for sure.
Be
Like, how would
exact.
you experience a child's experiences? Like, just think about like how much simpler like a child's like cognitive processes are. Like, I remember back when I was thinking
So
about when I was
amazing.
really young. Like, do you remember like back before you realized that like you can lie to people. Like, it's something you can do. Like, some
I knew
kid,
that
like young
pretty early.
Yeah, like you learned it really early, but like, still there is a time where like, I don't know, you perceive the world very differently.
Or you're not so gullible. And like how you could tell
Right.
kids like, dude, dragon. You see that dragon out there? It freaking just flew past. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
I told my sister I told my sister I drove a spaceship that was in like the attic, secret attic in our
No,
room.
see, yeah, dude.
And she genuinely bought it for a significant period of time.
Yeah, I can remember stories like that where like I look back, I'm like, there's no way that was real. And no one ever told me that it wasn't real. You just kind of figure it out once you get older. It's kind of
That's funny.
yeah.
Yeah, so no, you make
So-
some good points.
So I think the only way to get to where you're saying is you have to get the implant as an infant or
Infant,
before
I
that.
agree. And then this makes me think.
Sign my kid up.
I don't know.
That kid's gonna succeed. They're gonna be a real like performer of the next generation. That's
Or-
how you get your kid ahead.
Or
Do you
they'll
think
be
that
like me
might
and
be
they're
similar,
like,
acid or something.
huh?
Like the way that it's like messing with your brain, and like how it's everyone's brain's different, and how like or just drugs in general affect people differently.
Exactly.
Would that be like? Sorry, come here, Mike.
'Cause-
Would that be a thing?
Yeah, no, because like our bodies already have a natural reception for certain things. And SSRIs is like certain brains do not receive the amount of serotonin it's supposed to get. So you have to take this drug in order for your brain to uptake more of that serotonin and give you like happiness or letting regulate sleep. So even so like drugs alter how your brain receives these things. So that's another way that in order for Neuralink is if each person got tested essentially as to how their neurons work and then get it to be in that way. But I was saying like kids or infants or even prenatal is the only other way you can like really shape how
Have
it's
them
going to be
believe it
received.
fully.
So it would like have to be
Because-
like while you're forming, it would have to be a part of that formation.
Because your neurons, they're pretty much new and like they haven't been primed yet. So as
Oh,
long
we're
as
too rigid. now?
This is ridiculous. You could never have this system on kids because as soon as they turn teenagers, like all the guys would just watch porn.
But that's
And by watch porn, I mean have porn.
It's literally like I'm not doing anything bad. This is my brain.
Yeah. Like there's no way. It would never work. Nothing would get done. They would drop out of school.
But imagine if you can like regulate how testosterone hits instead of hitting it all at once.
No,
you
no, dude,
ease
those-
them into
Yeah.
it.
Those were
like
good
you're
times.
literally like
So what you're saying
think
is you
you
could have
guys
the
are-
best sex.
I think you guys are missing you guys are missing the fact that they're going to be able to write memories. You're not even going to have like the ability to do anything you want anymore.
I mean, that's
you're just going
yeah,
to work.
I mean-
that's it. You're going to work for them and you're going to build.
probably. I mean, that's the most realistic world. Like like if you take it from like a dialectical materialist or like think of it from like a Marxist perspective, that is kind of
Or just
the
like
inevitable.
human nature in general.
Yeah,
But-
or just yeah.
I also have a theory that like their design still needs to be improved because
Oh yeah.
they're missing the blood vessels, right? Like it's like really coded and planned. But like your blood vessels may very well change over time. Like say in 2 years your brain will
Right.
expand and like
Oh,
as time goes on the muscles actually like, change position.
yeah,
So
yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
who's
I mean,
to say they're not
it's-
going to get wrapped up and like cause an
Oh,
aneurysm
God.
later? Like,
Yeah, dude, that's
I'm
so true.
So sketched, dude.
there is a lot of like development that will have to occur. I think this could end up in like the wastebasket of really like ridiculous ideas, along with like phrenology or like leeches or something. I don't know. Or it could be the first step to something like really big, in terms of like how it changes. But the desire to do it doesn't necessarily mean it's plausible, but it's certainly like, because like all of this could, like, they could have exaggerated wildly how far they've gotten, right?
Yes.
For like, because like obviously they're pitching this to investors.
Or they could have
who
held
want-
back
who also
how far
wanna live
they've gotten
forever.
because of
Real
government.
people, not actors.
Yeah, they didn't want to get in trouble.
You don't know.
Yeah.
This shit could be already working to like the fullest potential that they thought, and they're like, we're just not gonna show you guys.
Which brings me to our next topic.
Ooh,
Current events.
Ooh.
aliens?
So there's actually like a weird story that happened, I think it was like 2 months ago in Havana, Cuba. And they experienced, I think it was people working in the embassy for the US. I don't know if that's right, but they're in Cuba and they experience sounds or weird disturbances. And they all start having like dizziness, nausea, like
gosh.
upset stomachs, and diarrhea. Hey, Pepto-Bismol. I'm just kidding. No, but they did feel like nausea and stuff like that. But nobody knows what it's from. Like it's from like sound waves hitting. Everybody heard sounds, but they don't know who caused it and stuff.
It's the brown note.
I was thinking they're testing it.
Oh gosh. No, they've known how to use the brown note since the 60s, dude.
Really?
Again, like they've had this down for a while.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because like people who are
That's not
constipated,
cool, dude. Crap on command.
People who are constipated, come on.
That's some real G shit right there.
Think of the silver one.
Oh gosh, dude. Like
Yeah. So is that the entirety of the story? Is that literally all? Like,
current events. Oh,
is that
for
is that-
Havana,
well-
Cuba. I could look up more about
What
it.
it
but
makes me
yeah.
think,
I also wanted to bring. Okay, yeah.
because we could be figuring out that that's aliens. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, we gotta invade Area 51 and find out.
have to find out.
Just so Lenny will stop talking about it.
I'll never stop.
Are we gonna do that before we invade Iran or after?
Yeah. So
Like we haven't
yeah,
already.
Let's talk about that. Like, I'm actually like kind of okay with the United States going to war with Iran, just because like it has been a long time. It's been since Vietnam that the United States got its butt kicked by like a country as badly as
Seemingly
Iran would beat Vietnam. Like the Millennium Challenge project they did. Have y'all heard about that? Where they like did
What?
these tests, like these war games. And they basically had their entire battle strategy against Iran using all of this like very technical, sophisticated equipment. And they had a military general in the U.S. play the side of Iran, and they gave him like the Iranian level, and they like did this war game simulation. And the general was really smart and was able to just like target communication systems and knock out the communication, and beat them so badly in the first day that they canceled the project and redid it, and like giving him rules where he wasn't allowed to like the United States has a lot of technology, but like that was built to fight this like mysterious, scary, like all-out war with the Soviet Union. Like we're not prepared. Like think about like how badly IEDs mess people like up during Iran, and just imagine like Scud missiles, thousands of Scud missiles.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if a war with Iran happens, like it's gonna be awful and terrible, and a lot of people are going to die. But the United States will like, maybe we'll slow down the whole invading people project.
Yeah, that might be my new favorite war. If it happens.
But imagine all the music that's gonna come out of that. Like, I'm sorry, Vietnam made some really dank music.
Seriously, dude. But only for a little
I'm glad
bit,
we
too.
have this in the right perspective.
Only for like 5 years, and then the music for Vietnam stopped.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Same with literature too.
I
But
don't know that.
so, how would you like even begin to justify this war? Like, what would even make it like a reason to go?
The Iran war?
Yeah.
Oh, they keep saying that Iran is
On
attacking
either
like
side.
vessels and ships. So there's the deal that the United
Harming
States
our
pulled
assets.
out of. Like the United States pulled out of the
Else
Iran
has one
nuclear
ship.
deal, and is specifically Trump did it, and some say he did it just to spite Obama, which makes sense. But
They got you.
Iran event, like the United States is accusing Iran of violating this deal that we like pulled out of a year ago. But then also, Iran keeps on getting blamed for these attacks on like tankers and vessels of like private companies. And the United States keeps saying it's Iran. The rest of the intelligence community is like, I don't know if that's Iran. It's like it's Iran. It's like it's very United States-esque, but like. Bolton, like, and like people in Trump's cabinet, they really want to go to war. They've been wanting to go into Iran since the Shah.
So much more money in there right now. Like that's the reason that's
That's the reason we go
why
anywhere.
we go.
Yeah.
It's corporate interest at this point, really.
Political
But
momentum.
like,
Jed, you
just
wrote that
happens.
essay about the Coca-Cola in Kabul?
Yeah, so I guess like part of the foreign aid flow in Afghanistan was directed towards establishing kind of like luxury good department stores and a Coca-Cola factory in Kabul, which is, you know, questionable. I don't know, like there are a lot of different like there are so many channels through which like the money travels, and like to see the like end product of it, it's like not really it's not what, you know, they deserve. It's not what anyone deserves. I don't know.
Yeah, there are a lot of like countries in South America that were like part of like anti-communist purges that now like have these places where there's no sidewalks, there's no infrastructure, but there are these luxury malls that like exist in all of these like, you know, countries in the southern hemisphere that have been like brought back into the fold of the United States.
Yeah, that's weird. That's
Yeah.
a good point, dude.
It's definitely based in like form of you know, reactionary response, because I guess the justification that it's like often used is that it's going to stimulate the economy and create jobs for people in the area, but that's, you know, not always true.
Did you know
See,
the
we just
military is the number one job creator besides Walmart?
It is.
Yeah, the
It's
more
Really?
actually true.
Yeah.
Besides Walmart?
Second
Yeah,
to
so it's
Walmart.
Walmart and then the U.S. military apparatus.
I'm not surprised about the military, honestly. I did not know about Walmart, though.
I mean, you've
What
seen
the-
those greeters, right? They're like 70 years old. If like they can get a job at Walmart,
Anyone can get
Damn.
it.
Yeah.
A caveman could do it. Yo, but I actually found the article I was thinking of earlier. So in the LA Times, they said that victims of the Havana embassy sonic attack have distinctly different brains based on MRIs they've taken of them.
I like
So
how
the
they call it a
victims-
sonic attack. They assume it was created
Yeah.
by another person. It was like
It just came
specifically
deep from
targeted at the
the
U.S.
earth.
embassy.
it was a specifically targeted ad by Sonic the Hedgehog in the movie that's coming out.
It's a promotional
exactly
stunt.
what
That would be
happened.
amazing.
Preaching.
I would watch the movie.
Oh, man.
I would watch the movie.
Even with the old design.
Yes, even with the old design. Like that's some amazing promotional shit. Like brown noting the U.S. embassy in Cuba as like a stunt for a movie.
For Sonic. Dude,
And
that
also,
villain
like-
is evil and the smartest man in the universe in that
Yeah.
game lore. So I could see him doing that.
Yeah.
Isn't he? I'm pretty sure like the villain.
I think that's the only way he could beat Sonic.
Yeah.
Is with that brown note.
Yeah, true. Dude, you can't
Yo.
run with that.
So they said that the people working in the building, the U.S. Embassy, the symptoms they had were balance problems, sleep and thinking difficulties, headaches, and other complaints. And they found that all to be true in like the MRIs they took, and they're saying that it's like a medical mystery, but there's no question that something happened. Like they were intervened upon,
Yeah, yeah.
and so that's why like I don't know, like
Well, it makes sense if it's sonic, like if it's sound waves.
Yeah.
Because like everything you mentioned right there, it's part of our inner ear, right here.
Yeah,
it's
like
what
the
causes
dizziness.
balance,
Yeah.
dizziness. It can create nausea. If this goes out of whack, or you like, even if you're like leaking liquid, like you can get vertigo and like it can get all these crazy.
But how do you
things.
cause like
True.
multiple people to have that all at the same time? Like,
It had
what
to
do
be
I
a
have to do?
very specific and high decibel sound, right?
Yeah, they said
Or
that some
low.
reported hearing high-pitched sounds similar to crickets while at home or staying in hotels, leading to an early theory of a sonic attack. There's no evidence. The FBI reported there's no evidence that sound waves could have caused the damage.
Well, look at like
I confused.
It's a good copy pasta material.
was it concussion grenades and all that?
Yeah, that's
Like
a real
that's
weapon.
what that's what sound is. It's just like a strong hit that causes you to be disoriented.
Be like a wind
So I
blast,
can imagine that being
Like an
like,
airbender.
a very high high frequency hit.
Yeah. They said that it lasted for like 20 or 30 seconds.
That's not that bad.
Well, well, like no, like it can already happen here. Like I can put on the Grenade app on our phones.
Don't do
and
it.
those, I'm not gonna do it. But like like after a while, your head starts hurting. You have a hard time concentrating, or you have to cut it out.
Ooh, that's cool. Oh, dude, that
don't
reminds
like.
me. There's a sick short story that a lot of people had to read in like my high school at least, but it's probably like a recommended title for like upper level high school. So it's called Harrison Bergeron.
Oh, I don't
And it's
know.
by Kurt Vonnegut.
Flowers for Algernon.
Dude, it reminds me of that story.
That's also a
It
great
literally
read.
does.
It really is.
But no, Harrison Bergeron, it's like this fictitious future where everybody's equal and it's caused by like the government. So they have everybody equal in every way. So if you have better vision than I do, then you wear these goggles that kind of distort it a little bit.
Oh, okay.
If you're smarter than I am, then you have like earphones in that constantly buzz like every 20 seconds. If you're smarter, every 10 seconds.
Jeez.
And then like if you're stronger than I am, then you have like sash
weights or
waves you
something.
wear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why does this sound really familiar?
Because it's like a short story. We all read, I
talked about
swear.
it.
dude.
No, we've all talked about it before.
Is that
Okay.
The socialist one.
Yeah, it's like the most equal society, and like it's a cool story because it's like predicting the future of how technology is supposed to bring us on this like even playing field.
At that point,
but
like
also the
imagine
dangers.
you have to be equal to somebody who can't walk. So we're gonna make everybody not walk. At some point, we become all useless.
Yeah.
Is that the point of the story?
Well, I mean, in the story, there's this guy Harrison Bergeron that's like so outstanding. He has like so many weights on him, and his glasses are so distorted, and like he still finds ways to like live beyond those bounds, and he like dances with somebody and breaks through a roof, and then
Oh, that's
it's
dope.
kind of like a fictitious ending. But
Dude, that food must be buff then.
dude,
We're gonna put these weights on you so you can't do it. You have to get stronger and everything. Like you ultimately become better by people trying to make you worse at what you do.
That's the metaphor of life.
Dude, yeah, self.
Yeah, people.
let them
like it.
haters
Yeah, there it
give
is.
you strength.
Yeah, you haters just make me stronger.
They give me my energy, in the words of Drake.
so if I get a Neuralink, then one day I can break through the Earth's roof. Like, what's the point here?
Basically, what
just
they're
gotta,
trying to
like,
say
just-
is you can experience the sixth sense.
Ooh.
You feel me?
Oh, you can astrally project. Yeah, that's how we get off the Earth's surface.
And that's where
it
we
all-
find our aliens, right?
And
Dude,
it all
imagine
comes back to
meditation
Elon
with a
Musk's
Neuralink.
vision.
People
Yeah,
love
true.
predicting, don't they?
No, man, I would hate to meditate. The point of
in the
meditation is to
sunken
clear
place.
your mind, and at that point, you're flooding your head.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, actually, I
Isn't
wonder
that what a
meditate.
river is?
I wonder
Yeah, dude. Seriously.
I wonder if meditation's gonna get more popular at that point. Then, when you're
Mindfulness.
not using it, because your brain still does need to rest in some way.
Whoa, I wonder if it could help you sleep too.
I mean, I imagine that would be one of the easier things, right? It could just flood your brain with sleepy chemicals.
Yeah, like if I could just like take a 2-minute nap when I know I'm gonna be alone at work. And it's just
That
like,
would be dope.
all right, back to work.
It's
But,
actually a lot
but
more.
you realize the neurotransmitter will pick up the fact that you are sleeping and tell your nearest supervisor.
Yes, yeah. probably.
It's I think it's melatonin.
You can't
That's
hide
sleep
from the
chemical.
hive.
But it derives from serotonin.
ACAB.
So I think that's the hardest part. Is just like how does it tell which way it's supposed to go, like serotonin and all that?
Oh,
Because it
it's based on
deregulates
you
so
breathing.
much. But serotonin and all that's also being developed in the gut and like other places too, which is why like diet and all that's so
Gut
important.
bacteria is real.
Can't you just buy it?
Yeah, it really is.
Dude, if you go to a new spot, you should like eat or drink a lot of citrus because it'll clean out your gut and
Oh.
then you'll be prepared for the new types of bacteria that
Okay.
you experience in their food and stuff. Because if you haven't eaten that or haven't exposed yourself before, it's
I
not
wish I
crazy.
would have known that like
Huh.
a week and a half ago.
Sounds like you had a bad week.
That's a very specific time.
Do you want to share more information with us?
Let's just say the first day of vacation was interesting.
Got to inspect all the local toilets.
Yeah, they were nice.
Oh gosh, it's so funny.
Not after he
Yo,
left.
you guys ever go to like a public beach bathroom and there's no doors on the stalls.
Yeah, dude, I'm not about that.
Yeah.
How are
no.
you supposed to like act in this area?
Like worst case scenario, you gotta have someone that you're real tight with just like hold a towel up, like
Yeah.
just turn your.
Or like it's just really awkward. Like somebody walks by and just like.
Just have like a bodyguard stand out there in front, like, hey, don't look in this stall.
One of my friends suggested it's like, hey, it's a public restroom. I bet one day somebody was like, this is a public restroom. This is my public door. I'm taking it. If you want to see me, then you're gonna see me.
Or maybe it was somebody who just wanted to get caught in there. He's like, I'm just gonna take these off. Sorry, officer, there was no door here.
This helps me.
It was so weird, dude.
It helps you poop.
It just
Goddamn.
helps me.
Some people like need the pressure
No, there
to
was that
succeed.
How do
Jonathan
you
was
bring us out
there
of this?
when, well, we were in Balboa Park. Remember, we were walking. I went to the restroom and somebody was there, and I'm not really sure what they were.
Did you join him?
No,
I have we have our theories on what he was doing.
There were theories like. I didn't want to interrupt him because he sounded like he was having a great sesh by himself.
You're making it sound weirder than it probably is by
Yeah.
saying that.
No, that's what I'm saying. I didn't see it, but he was getting off in some kind of way. So I was just gonna go and do my business while he does his. And that's why I'm not a fan of public restrooms. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
That's before,
Like scarred.
Yeah, dude.
It's not worth the convenience.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything more left to say after that. I think it shows how late it is now.
Yeah, I'd drop this mic if it wasn't mine.
Please.
No, it's mine.
Dang, I think this podcast is a. No, I'm just kidding. I was about to make another brown note joke somehow, but.
Well, glad we avoided that one.
If you guys
Glad we
hear that
dodged
sound,
it.
I think it's time for us to go.
Yeah, like that's how you wrap up the episode. Okay,
don't have a
so
choice.
nature's calling, and you need to pick up the phone. But I mean, next time, whenever you listen to us talk again, it'll be not about brown notes,
No.
and I think next time we're gonna have a guest.
Yes, we're gonna have 3 guests. My brother that you met at the last one, my other brother that you haven't met,
sweet.
and our friend Ethan, who's another musician who works with us. So
Cool.
yeah,
I'm excited for that. Do you have a sneak peek or anything for us?
It's a surprise. You guys gotta wait. Haha.
It would
Yeah,
ruin
yeah.
this.
All right, guys. So
Exactly.
you know what that means, right? You gotta make sure you subscribe and hit that bell in order for you to know when we're coming back with his friends over here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And thank you, production, and thank you, guests, for showing up.
Absolutely.
JP.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anytime.
That was cool.
Both of you have cool hats too.
I know.
Nice to see they're very humble.
We're artistes.
Well, yeah, that's probably a wrap. So join us here next time.
Deuces.
Oh.